Waves lapped the shipwreck debris. The auditor shook his head. The new shipping lane seemed like a good idea at the time, but now it will cost the company dearly. Filipinos along the beach mumbled and pointed at scratches on debris. What are they mumbling about? The auditor said. An old Filipino shielded his eyes from the sun. It's the curse of the creature. The creature was the Philippine merman, the Siyokoy. And this is Legends from the Pacific. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. This is Legends from the Pacific, episode 109, The Philippine Merman, Siyokoy. I am Kamuwala Kaneshiro, a native Hawaiian professional writer, speaker, and Comic-Con panelist with extensive film and television experience. I study mythology, I've encountered unusual things, and I'm a geek. You can support us by getting 2 or 3 of your friends to listen to our show. This simple request goes a long way in helping us grow our show. Later in this episode, your featured song and Hawaiian word, but first, let me share with you the Philippine creature from the Black Lagoon. As always, I apologize for any mispronounced names or words and appreciate your understanding. Siyokoy normally inhabit the area around the Philippines. They are considered water guardians, but while it's widely reported they dwell in the ocean, they actually frequent rivers, lakes, and waterfalls. They attack humans and vessels in their territory, drowning mortals and eating them. Usually, whenever there's a water tragedy, Siyokoy are blamed. Marine animals like squids, octopi, and eels are said to swim with them. Siyokoy are mermen-like, who can survive up to an hour out of water. At that time, dehydration occurs and kills them. They have a fish head, humanoid body, claws, webbed feet, and are usually greenish. While this conjures the creature from the Black Lagoon, or Hellboy's Abe Sapien, some rare accounts claim Siyokoy have tentacles, may have a copper hue, and a large fish tail. This last part is interesting since the female version of Siyokoy are Sirena, which appear as the traditional mermaids with a human torso leading to a fish tail. While Siyokoy and Sirena are supposed to be mates, rare accounts claim Siyokoy can become human. When this happens, they become the ideal gentleman in order to seduce and impregnate women to propagate their species. Now, I'm not sure I buy into this because I can see it as purely a cautionary tale for women about how things may not be what they seem. His sweaty shirt stuck to him as the heat seemed to have melted time. His mother and relatives gathered things in the woods around him. You love going to the forest, they said yesterday. It's cooler than the village, and you'll have so much fun. The boy kicked a rock. They lied to me. It's still hot. This isn't fun, and I wish I was home. He pretended gathering things and wandered from the adults. They didn't notice. He took several steps. His auntie looked at him. He collected some things beside him. She resumed working. Several more steps was his reward. When the women looked smaller, a breeze through the branches piqued his ears. He continued his act and followed the sound. In a clearing was the waterfall and pool his village frequented. He didn't realize his relatives took him this far. Gazing up the falls made him almost fall back. Damp moss filled his lungs, and the mist cooled his skin. The flowing water crashed into a pool with progressively darker blues. His uncle mentioned the pool's jagged rocks mirrored the waterfall's rocky cliff face. He and his friends tried tracking the depth by throwing stones, but they'd be devoured by the midnight blue. The pool was his. He threw off his shirt and dove in. The rush of water was a whisper compared to the crashing falls, but it felt like someone was there. He sprinted from the dark chasm. Treading water in the shallows seemed safer, but the unnerving feeling remained. He considered distracting himself by diving for the bottom, kicking off one of its smooth rocks, then shooting for the surface. But the presence seemed near. Blinking might cost him seeing whatever lurked nearby. What if an animal showed up? He scanned the area for rocks he could throw. Something graced his calf. He kicked, expecting to hit a fish, but felt only water. The clear water revealed his flailing legs. A friend once dropped a piece of plastic wrap in the water. They couldn't see it, but felt it and removed it from the pool. Another piece must be here. He slowed his kicks. Something glanced his calf. He reactively looked down. Nothing was there. He swung his opposing leg to hook the object. He struck something. A hand gripped his striking leg. His hair stood. It felt like he jumped and ran on the water's surface out the pool. He ran screaming for the fields, for his mother's arms. The confused parent dropped her collection and braced for her son's impact. The woman surrounded him, asking what was wrong. He tried explaining everything he saw, but it came out as garbled nonsense. "My sweet boy," his mother said, "where is your shirt and collection?" He sobbed. He didn't want his shirt. It could stay at the pool. The women calmed him. A few retrieved his shirt. Then the boy and his mother returned home. When asked what they were doing back so early, his mother told everyone she didn't feel well and she may have gotten her son sick. He eventually returned to the pool with his friends. None of the women teased or mocked him. They never spoke of his experience again, just as they never shared that on similar days, all of them, at one point, encountered the Siyokoy. Do you know who the Hawaiian volcano god was before Pele? Become a Legends from the Pacific Patreon member to hear this rare story, along with over 20 others. Links can be found in our show notes, so sign up and become a Legends from the Pacific Patreon member today. Also, a big mahalo nui loa to our current Patreon members, whose support keeps our show going. Today, many Filipino horror movies and programs feature the Siyokoy. The creature was also featured in the Pathfinder game and was a pop toy. These types of aquatic creatures have always intrigued me, especially the creature from the Black Lagoon. I mean, honestly, who didn't feel bad for that guy? He was just going on about his day when people showed up and tried to kill him. It's good to see I'm not alone in sympathizing with him, since Hellboy director Del Toro used this concept to make his successful film The Shape of Water. Interestingly enough, Universal Studios originally hired Del Toro for a Black Lagoon remake, but they had a falling out and Del Toro made his movie. So, for Universal, that was one of the many that got away. As a side note, inspiration for the creature from the Black Lagoon occurred when a crew member shared the Brazilian myth about a half-man, half-fish. But that's a story for another time. If you like what you heard, please give us a rating and write a review. I'd really appreciate it. Our theme song is Mystery by Tavana, courtesy of High Sessions. Sound effects are by Sound Effects Factory. Our music coordinator is Matt Duffy, aka DJ TripleBypass. Links and show notes can be found on our website, legendsfromthepacific.com, including a link to your featured song, which is Water by Taimane, courtesy of High Sessions. Legends from the Pacific was written, produced, and edited by me, Kamuela Kaneshiro. I also wrote our original stories. Your featured Hawaiian word is mea ola. Mea ola means creature. An example of mea ola is the mea ola from the Black Lagoon pinball machine is pretty fun. Once again, mea ola is Hawaiian for creature. Yeah, pinball. But that's a topic and show for another time. Thank you once again for listening. Mahalo and a hui ho.